So welcome back, guys. So this is the part 2 of this video. This is the sewing. So this is the part 2. If you haven't watched the part 1, I have uploaded the part 1 video already. So I am done arranging everything. So here is the skirt. I am done shaping the skirt and I have ironed it. So I used a pin to hold down the pleats, and this is the lining as well. I have shaped my lining. So for now, I am still holding down the pleats with a pin with pins. I'll still go ahead and use my needle and thread and tack everything. So right now I placed my fabric and my lining together. This short gown does not have any slits because it is very short. The person can still walk freely. So I placed my main fabric inside my lining. The right side is facing the right side. The right side of the fabric is facing the right side of the lining. So here is the lining for the front. I have joined the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3. I hope you still remember how I labeled them. So here is the main fabric. I have also joined my number 1, my number 2, and my number 3. So just join them with half an inch, that's all. So after that, I will go ahead and I also joined my skin net. I cut my skin net twice, like that is double, and I turned them. So here is the bra cup. I am done joining the bra cup and I have ironed. I notched and ironed. So I'll go ahead and place my bra cup inside. I also did upper bust tightening for my bra cup. Like I held it, you can see where I shaped it by half an inch so that it will give me that rounder shape. So I am going to add my bra cup to the fabric that I made for it. I used my pin to hold them down for now. I will still use my needle and thread to tack it. So I am done joining my bra cup to the space that I made for them. You can see how it looks. I am done joining the bra cup there. So right now I'll go ahead and join my yoke. So just place your yoke in between these two. You can see the right side and the left side after you must have finished joining the bra cup. I have a lot of corset videos, so if you want to see how I join my bra cup and the rest, just go through my channel. You will see a lot. So I marked where the net will stop. You can see where I marked, that is where the skin net will stop at. And after doing that, after joining the skin net, I'll also cover it with my lining. I have a video on how to sew a deep skin illusion neckline, a deep one. You will see how I did it. So here is the back. Here is the back part. I'll go ahead and notch where my yoke will stop at because my yoke will not reach the zipper allowance side. So I'll go ahead and notch where that yoke will stop at so that I'll know where to place the yoke. So this is my yoke, and I turned the neckline, the armhole, and that round area. So if you are turning your yoke, turn the armhole as well. You have to turn the armhole because you will not join any sleeve to the armhole. I hope you understand. So I have placed my skin net and this is how it looks. So here is the front part. I am done joining my skin illusion net. I'm done joining the skin net to the center and I have closed them. So this is how they look. So if you want to do any adjustment, do it now before turning it with your lining. So I'll go ahead and turn the two sides with their lining. So I am done turning with the lining and I am done turning the back as well. So after I turned the back with the lining, I made my channels for my bone. I made my bone casing. I did not add extra bias. I just ran a stitch on top of the fabric so that it will show on the lining side as well, and that is where I will insert my bones. And I added bones only to the back part of this dress. I did not add any bone to the front. So I'm trying to save time because this video is actually long. So right now, after turning everything with the lining, you go ahead and take your bust measurement, and then you also mark your waist measurement. So after shaping, you can now go ahead and join your yoke. That one is very simple. Just join the two of them at the shoulder, and that's all. So I am checking if my half length for the back part is still okay, and it is okay. So right now I am done shaping. I'll go ahead and trim my basque waistline. I'll go ahead and trim it. It depends on what you want, so I'll trim until I have gotten what I wanted. That's why I said you should add extra 6 inches from your half length, so that you have enough space for trimming. Like your basque shape should be at least 6 inches from your waistline, so that you have enough space to trim. So I am done trimming and I have gotten the shape that I wanted. So here is the skirt part. I have turned the skirt part with the lining. So I'll go ahead and place the upper part on the lower part. Like I'll place the top on the skirt part, and then I'll trace out this triangular line. That is how I normally do mine. We have also started the beading because I did hand beading. I couldn't buy a cup chain. It's very expensive, very expensive, so I had to do hand beading. I'll still show you guys the beading part. So after placing the basque, the top on the skirt part, I'll measure everything. The length that I wanted is okay. So you can see that the slanted area is 34 inches and the longer area of the skirt is 30. That the shorter part is 34 inches and the lower part is 38 inches or 37 inches. So I still trimmed my basque. So after trimming, I will go ahead and insert my bones. I used a Reggiline bone. I don't know if I'm working with a velvet. I like using Reggiline bone because it doesn't fold like that. It is just smooth. It works for me perfectly well. So I'll go ahead and insert my bones. You can see the channels or the casing that I made for the bones at the back. Like I said, I added bones only at the back part of this dress. I did not add to the front. I don't really know why, but I decided to do it like that. So if you want to add your bone to the front as well, you make your channels or your casing for the bone and then insert your bone. So after adding these bones, you will now go ahead and run a stitch at the half length. You just run a stitch round it so that you can hold the upper part, so I can hold the line and the fabric together. So I have placed my basque on the skirt and I have traced out the shape of the basque. So right now I'll go ahead and cut. Remember, do not cut on the line exactly. You will leave like half an inch. You come up by like half an inch and then trim off the remaining part. So when you are cutting, remember to cut with the lining as well. You cut the fabric and the lining as well. So right now I'll go ahead and join the upper part and the lower part. So to the beading, to achieve this, you can see I have done the right side. So I'll show you guys how I did the left side. So first of all, double your thread, then insert your thread. You can see I have inserted my thread already. So you pass it like 3 times or 2 times. Then you start inserting your beads. You can see the size of this. Is not, should I call it a sand bead? The beads are actually fine. They are very fine. So you start inserting your beads. So if you insert like 10, you can see I want it to be there. So I'll go ahead and pass my needle through that place so that it will hold the bead down. You know, if you raise this cloth, it will be falling. So if you don't want it to fall, just hold it around the brack up area where you want it to be. Then you continue inserting more beads. So you can see this one. I'll keep on inserting it until I have gotten to the stage that I want. So as you're inserting, you'll be measuring. So I'll insert one more. Then when I reach there, I will hold it down. I will pass my needle through so that the bead will like stay there. Then after that, I will pass my needle through the fabric and then come out below that one. I'll come out under that one, and this one is for the second line. I'll start inserting more beads. This is for a new row. You can see I have 4 steps on the right, so I want to repeat it on the left as well. So just keep on inserting your beads. So when you reach this area, you have to pass your needle through so that the beads will stay there without like falling, without dropping. So just pass it through there and then keep on inserting more beads. So as we're inserting, you'll be checking. So right now I have reached where I want it to stop at. I'll go ahead and pass my needle through. You can see the bead will stay there. Then after that, I'll also pass my needle through under the fabric. I'll pass it under the fabric and then I will start a new row. My thread was actually disturbing at this point, so take your time. So I passed it under the fabric and then I started inserting more beads. This one is for the 3rd row. So when I reach the center, I will hold it down. I'll remove like 1 bead because what I have is way too much. So I'll pass it through the fabric so that the bead will stay there. And then I'll start inserting more beads. If you want to use a cup chain for this, fine. Cup chain will actually reduce the time you spend on this dress, but it is very expensive. In Nigeria right now, a pack is 5,000 naira or 5,500 naira, and you will need like 4 or 5 packs to achieve this dress. So calculate it, you see that it is too much. You'll be spending like 30,000 naira or 25,000 naira just for the cup chain. So check it, it is very expensive. So right now I'll pass my needle. I have reached where I want it to be. Then I passed my needle under the fabric and then this one is for the last row. So when I reached where I want it to be, I passed my needle through the fabric and then I continued inserting more beads. So I'll keep on inserting more beads. So this is the final part, and when I reach there, I'll pass my needle like 2 or 3 times. I'll pass it like 2, 3 or 4 times before tying it. So that was how I achieved this beading on the back up area. Then after this, I will show you how I achieved the other beading around the armhole area. So I'll go ahead and tie this. So I am done. So right now I'll show you guys how I achieved the beading around my armhole area. So you can see this one, I have 4 steps there. So I'll show you guys how to do it on the other side. So here is the left side. You pass your needle, let's say very close to the dart line, around that yoke area. You pass your needle like 3 times to make it strong. Then after doing that, you will start inserting your beads. So this depends on how long you want each strand to be. If you want it to be very long, fine. So for this beading, I used only 1 pack of this bead. This is not the glass, this is not the small glass bead. I've not seen it before, but I saw it and I actually liked it because it was actually glittering. It was very glittery, so I liked it and I bought it. This is not the normal sand bead. Sand bead or glass bead is okay, but it won't glow the way this one is glowing. You actually need to see this in real life. It is very fine and shiny. So I'll keep on inserting my beads until I have gotten the desired length that I want. You know, it will be curvy, it will not be straight. So if you add your bead till you have gotten to the length you want, you bend it over and then attach it to the back up area. So I have gotten to the length that I want. I am almost there. So it is very long now. So I'll attach it around the back up area. I'll pass my needle through and I will knot it like 3 times. So after that, the thread that I have is still long enough to achieve another one. So I'll have to pass it through the fabric, like under the fabric, and then I'll come out around the upper part of the back up. Then I will start inserting more beads. This is for another strand. So this is how you will continue until you have gotten like 3 or 4 strands, depending on how many strands you want. So I actually added 4 strands to each side. So once I'm done with this one, I'll tie it and then introduce a new thread, a longer thread, and that is what I'll use to complete the remaining 2 strands. So I have reached the end. I'll go ahead and I'm very close to the end. So I'll go ahead and attach it at the back part. So it will be going to and fro. From the front, you cross it to the back. So right now I'll tie it, and then after tying, I'll introduce a new thread and then continue. So as you are doing, you'll be comparing it with the other one. So after doing this, I'll introduce a new thread. So if you have any rough end on this dress, you can actually cover it with little stones. You can find little stones or little beads that you can use to cover the rough ends. So I'll go ahead and complete the remaining two using this method. So I am done with the two. I'll go ahead and knot it, and that is all for now. So I'll go ahead and join the upper part and the lower part together, and this is the trimming that I'll be using for this. So a yard of this, I bought it for 3,000 naira. Then the sugar lace, that's what we call it, that one is 800 naira. So I'll combine the two to get what I want. So I'll trim them and then combine them the way I want, and that is what I'll use to embellish the down part. So here is the skirt part. This is the third time I'm changing clothes, right? This actually took a very long time. So I'll show you guys how I fixed these beads. They are all hand beaded, or I'm sorry. So the thing is that you pass your needle like 2 to 3 times so that it will be very strong. Then after doing that, you start inserting your beads. It is simple but time consuming, that's just the thing. So if you can afford your cup chain, fine, but I actually did this. This video is not really doing justice to this. This is very, very shiny in real life. So you keep on passing your beads until you have gotten the desired length you want. So if you are planning on making this dress, I think you should give it 3 days, like 3 days straight. But if you have people that help you, you finish it on the second day. So you can see the pleated part on the skirt. I actually used a needle and thread to tag them down so that they will not be falling. So when you reach the down part, you pass your needle through the first bead, then you put it through the second one, and then cut it. Like when you reach the down part, you pass your needle through the first bead, like you double cross it, and then after that you pass it through the second one and tie. So after tying and trimming, you will not really see where the thread was tied at, so everything will look neat. I'll repeat it again. So I'll tie my thread and I will try another one. So pass your needle through your fabric. You pass like 3 times, then start inserting your beads. So when you reach the down part, you pass your needle through the first one and then pass it through the second one and then tie it. Like when you reach the down part, you pass it through the last one again, then bring your needle up and pass it through the second one, then tie. That's all. That was how we fixed all of them. So for the trimmings, I have joined the upper part and the lower part together. So I will use my needle and thread to hold down this pleated area, this drape area. It will cover that basque shape a bit. So I use the needle and thread to tack it down. So this is a velvet. The thread will actually hide a bit, but you need to be very careful when tacking it down. Then you cut and you will knot. So right now I'll go ahead and add my trimmings. Like I told you, I bought 1 yard of the other trimming and then I bought a sugar lace. So this is small glass beads. I'll add them around the yoke, on the yoke of the back part. So I have also made my eyelets for the back. I did not use a loop. I made eyelets for the back. Then I will use my candle gum. I want to use my candle gum for this. So I'll use my candle gum and attach the glass beads on the yoke. So you actually take your time. So I don't want to iron, I don't want to use heat because I'm scared that it will affect my skin net. So I have cut and I have placed my trimmings the way I want them to be. So I'll go ahead and use my candle gum to attach them one by one. So you actually take your time. If you want to hand stitch, fine, but there's no time for hand stitching. I actually used my candle gum. So for me, I will advise you to leave this trimming part until your customer fits this dress, so that you'll be very sure that it fits very well around the knee area. But I added this only to the front part, so I can still adjust from the back. I'll also add the trimmings for the breast area or the back up area, and you can see the dart. The dart is not at the center like I said when I was cutting this. So my client came and we did some fittings before I placed the trimming for the back part. We did some raw fitting, and then we actually filled the beading part of the back, and after everything, this is the final look of the dress. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I actually had fun making this, though it stressed me. So feel free to try it out, and our online class is still on. Please register before it is late. Thank you guys for watching my video. Thank you for subscribing, and see you in my next video. Bye.